Have you ever wondered why you see polar bears in the Arctic, but, not hanging out in the Amazon rainforest? Well, it all boils down to one word: climate. In this explainer, we're going to take a tour of our living planet to see exactly how climate shapes life on Earth, from the hottest deserts to the frozen tundra. Let's jump in.
So, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the absolute basics. Then we'll jet off to visit some of the planet's most incredible environments. And finally, we'll take a hard look at how one single species, that's us, is changing the entire game. Okay, first things first. We've got to get our key terms straight. Before we can start our tour, we need to understand the ground rules that life plays by, starting with something that trips a lot of people up. Right, so what's the difference between weather and climate? It's actually pretty simple. Think of it this way. Weather is your mood today. Maybe you're sunny, maybe you're a little stormy. Climate, on the other hand, is your personality. It's who you are over the long haul. So a single rainy day doesn't make a rainforest, just like one bad mood doesn't make you a grumpy person. It's all about the long-term average. So now that we've got climate down, we can talk about biomes. And a biome is really just a huge community of plants and animals that are all perfectly suited for a specific climate. They've all adapted to thrive in those long-term conditions. And here they are in all their glory. If you look at this map, you'll notice they're not just random splotches. They form these really distinct bands across the globe. It's almost like the Earth has stripes. So that begs the question, why? What's the secret recipe here? And boom, here's that secret recipe. It really comes down to just two main ingredients: how hot it is and how much water is available. This chart shows it perfectly. If you get tons of heat and tons of rain, you get a tropical rainforest. If you have very little rain, well, you're going to get a desert. Whether it's hot or cold, it's this simple combination that creates all the diversity we see. These non-living or abiotic factors are basically the architects of every single biome. Temperature, precipitation, and the amount of sunlight, that's insolation, are the big three. They set the rules for what plants can grow, and those plants, in turn, decide which animals can live there. All right, first stop on our tour, let's see how this all plays out in the real world, starting with the incredible forests. These biomes cover about a third of the Earth's land and are just packed with life. So let's compare two main types. You've got your tropical rainforests, think hot, humid, and close to the equator. And then you have temperate forests, the kind you might find in Europe or North America, which get the full 4 seasons, from hot summers to cold, snowy winters. Tropical rainforests are absolutely bursting at the seams with life, more species than anywhere else on land. But here's a little plot twist for you. You'd think the soil would be crazy rich, right? Well, it's actually the opposite. It rains so much that the water washes all the good nutrients away. It's a mad dash for plants to soak everything up before it's gone. Now, temperate forests are all about seasons. You know those beautiful fall colors? That's the trees getting ready for winter. And all those leaves that fall to the ground, they act like a giant slow-release fertilizer, creating this deep, rich soil. And the animals here are masters of adaptation, whether it's hibernating through the cold or just packing up and flying south for the winter. Okay, next stop on our tour, the big, wide-open spaces of grasslands and the extreme world of deserts. These places are basically defined by what they don't have, and that's a whole lot of trees. The main difference between a savanna and a desert, it's all about how they get their water. A savanna is like a student who crams right before a test. It gets all its rain in one big wet season. A desert, on the other hand, is like a student who, well, just never studies. It's pretty much always dry. Living in the desert is like starring in a survival movie. Everybody has a special gadget to stay alive. The saguaro cactus, it's basically a living water tower. The fennec fox uses its giant ears like personal air conditioners to get rid of heat. And tons of animals just sleep all day and become creatures of the night to avoid that brutal sun. It's genius, really. For our final natural biome, we are heading way, way up north to the edge of the world. We're visiting the cold, windswept tundra, a place that can feel almost like another planet. Okay, so the tundra is a land of extremes. First off, it's basically a cold desert, very little precipitation. But its real secret is something called permafrost. It's a layer of soil just under the surface that is permanently frozen solid. This frozen ground is like a brick wall for tree roots, which is why you only see small, tough plants that grow fast in the super short summer. It's a tough neighborhood, so not a lot of species can make a living here. So, up until now, we've been looking at the world's natural biomes. But now we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Or maybe the 7 billion person elephant in the room, us. Because we aren't just living in these biomes anymore, we are fundamentally reshaping them. On the left, you see that biomap we started with. Now, look at the map on the right. Every single red area is a city or a town. We've created these sprawling, concrete ecosystems, totally designed by and for humans. And it's not just our cities. This map shows the footprint of our farms. We've taken over huge areas of grassland and forest and replaced them with just a handful of crops. Scientists actually have a name for these human-made ecosystems. They call them anthromes. You can think of them as human biomes. And the one thing they all have in common is that they support way less life than the natural ones they replaced. And here's the thing, our impact isn't just about changing the land. We are now changing the climate itself. And by doing that, we're kicking off a massive planet-wide disruption of every natural biome. You see, when we burn fossil fuels for energy, we release heat-trapping gases into the atmosphere. It's like we're wrapping the Earth in an extra blanket that it doesn't need, and now it's starting to overheat. And this is messing with those two key ingredients we talked about at the very beginning, temperature and water. And that changes literally everything. And this visualizes the consequences perfectly. Imagine if your hometown just got hotter and hotter every year until you finally had to pack up and move somewhere cooler. Well, that's exactly what's happening to plants and animals. They're on the move, scrambling toward the poles and up the sides of mountains, chasing the climate they are built to survive in. And this isn't some far-off future problem. It's happening right now. For a while, some people thought, well, more CO2 might be good for plants, right? But this new data tells a different story. Plants can't live without water, and as warming causes more intense droughts, the planet is actually becoming less green overall. So, the most important thing to take away from all this is that the connection between climate and life is incredibly direct and powerful. As we change the climate, we are actively redrawing the map of life on Earth. So the next time you look at a globe, just remember that those colorful bands aren't set in stone. We are living on a shifting planet, and the choices we all make are going to decide what that map looks like for a long, long time to come.